Okay, hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a 2023 book recap. And I'm just gonna kind of rate all the books I read. I read this many. I wrote it down, I read 27 books minimum, because there are some things that I read that aren't on here. Like, there are a couple things that I started, and then also I had an English literature class, so I'm not counting any of the short stories or poems. I counted the big. I think there are 2 or 3 books that I had to read for that class that I did count here, but like the little stories, I read The War Prayer by Mark Twain, which is a short story. Really good, and I definitely recommend it. But I'm not going to go through all of the short stories and poems that I read for the class. So I read 27 books. These are the books that I kept from these books. Some of these books I got from the library. Some of these I lended. And some of them I bought, but I got rid of because I knew I was never going to read them again. So the first one I read of 2023 was The Sun Is Also a Star. I really liked this. This is on my 2024 TBR. I'm definitely gonna reread this. I liked it so much. It's a great beach read. I read it in like 2 days. It's a romance, and it's heartfelt, and it's amazing. And the movie adaptation is actually pretty good. Anyways, I really like this. I would totally recommend. I've read other books by Nicola Yoon, but I didn't like them as much as I like this one. This is probably one of my top 10 books ever. So I would recommend this if you're a romance reader. I really liked it. Okay, so next is another one. I had a good year in books. There are a lot that I read that I was very impressed with. So this is the seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I definitely recommend this one. This one hits hard. I would not say it's necessarily a beach read. It was super interesting. I love the theme of both of these books. The theme of Nicola Yoon is of The Sun Is Also a Star is also the theme of her other book. I think it's by her, which is Instructions for Dancing, which I also read and I'll get to. But the theme for The Sun Is Also a Star, the time you have is what matters rather than it being forever. And the theme for this one, which has actually kind of pushed me to do things I wouldn't have done normally, which is kind of go for what you want. Life isn't going to hand you what you want. You have to go for it. And so this is a very strong woman who ends up marrying 7 husbands, and there's a whole bunch of plot twists, so it's super interesting and very heartfelt, and I very much like this one. This is also on my 2023 book list. Okay, next one is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I had not read that before. I read that through audiobook when I was going in between school and stuff. So I did like it a little bit. I liked it enough to finish it, but I'm sorry to all you Harry Potter fans out there. I'm not going to read the next ones. I did not think it was that captivating. But it's accurate enough to the movies, where if you didn't like the movies, you probably wouldn't like the books. I've watched the movies. They're just not my thing. Okay, Instructions for Dancing, which I think is also by Nicola Yoon, but I'm not sure. I read that one. Honestly, I wasn't super thrilled about it, through all of it. The only part that I liked is I really liked the ending. It felt like it was forced and kind of fast, so it's not my thing. I give it maybe 2 or 3 stars out of 5. It didn't shock me, but I did like the theme, which is, again, the time you have should be appreciated. Okay, The Hate U Give. It was okay. I'd give it a 4 out of 5 because I did finish it. It took me a while. My goal for last year was to read a book a month. This actually took me a month and a couple weeks. It wasn't my favorite. It's enough that I kept it. I did keep the book. Overall, I thought it was fine. I think it does a good job pointing out racial injustice. The movie is very good. It's a good adaptation, pretty accurate to the book. The one thing that I specifically didn't like in both the movie and the book, she is mad at her boyfriend for having protection on hand. Like, they're going at it, and then he's like, oh, I have this if you want it. And he's being, like, super respectful, and then she gets all mad about it. I think that's ridiculous. Other than that, it was okay. If you're like a super social activist, you definitely would like this. Like, it's good. It's just not, it didn't blow me away. Let's say that. Looking for Alaska. Okay, so I have two favorite books. One of them is Looking for Alaska. The other is Speak. I read this with my then boyfriend, who's not anymore, but at the time we read that together, and it is so good. I love that book to pieces. I love the show to pieces. Absolutely amazing. Love it. Like, go read it. It traps me in. John Green, amazing writer. I would recommend anything he wrote, but like specifically Looking for Alaska. I love it so much. So much. I've read this book minimum 7 times. Great. Read it, please. Okay, Letters to a Young Poet. This is a famous book, he's a Russian author, that it's just letters between him and this kid. I didn't like it. I was kind of dying reading it. I wanted to finish it, because my other goal of last year was to start a book and finish it, because I get into this habit where I'll read like a chapter or two from a book, and then I'll just abandon it with like never finishing a book. Yeah, I wasn't impressed. Some people might like it, but the modern reader isn't going to really like it. Okay, Outliers is another one I really liked. Some people have to read this in school. I didn't, but I totally really like it. It's so interesting. I bring it up in conversation all the time. If you want something to talk about, I would read this. It's mildly depressing. So the book is about what makes someone an outlier, what makes someone rich and famous and all these things, because we all want to be rich and famous. And it goes over the stories of like why, because sometimes it's chance. Like he talks about that. A lot of times it's chance. It's these people in the right place at the right time with the right resources that make them successful. And then you're like, but I don't have those. So that's a little depressing, but I totally recommend it. I would say this book is one of the ones that like everyone needs to read, so I would recommend it. Turtles All the Way Down. Again, I love myself some John Green. I had not read this one, and I read it and I really liked it. It does a really good job of demonstrating kind of OCD thought behavior, like obsessively. I like the main character because I feel like she's very relatable. I just remember being very encapsulated by some of the way he writes, the way she thinks. And this is another one on my 2023 TBR that I'm going to read this year again. Because another goal last year was to not reread, because a lot of times if I find a book, I love it, I reread it to death. And so I don't want to do that. So there's like already 3 books in this pile that I want to reread this year. On the Edge of Reason, I don't remember who that was by, but I didn't like it. It's a Russian novel about this guy who kind of goes crazy. But it's very, like, preachy. Like, there's not much of a plot. It's kind of this guy saying, like, I think this, and I think this, and I think this. And he's trying to point out issues in society. But I would not recommend it. I found it at a bookstore. It looked promising. I wasn't a big fan. Next one is I'm Glad My Mom Died. I think her name's Jeanette McCurdy. I recommend this one if you're into like celebrity gossip, like that one and The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, even though this isn't true and McCurdy's is. I really like them just because it's like, it feels like I'm just drinking tea, you know, like you're just spilling tea with your friends. I thought it was really good. I thought it was written very well. I was surprised about how well it was written. I wouldn't be surprised if you got a ghostwriter to do it. But it's interesting. It is depressing though, so there's definitely like a bunch of trigger warnings. So I would be aware of that if that's something that bothers you going into it. But I read it in only a couple of days. Like it didn't take me very long, and I enjoyed it like as much as you can enjoy reading about someone's trauma. Okay, Dear Martin. This is another one I thought was okay. So it has the same theme and a very similar plot to The Hate U Give, but I think The Hate U Give does a better job than Dear Martin. This is one that I read and then gave away because I knew I wasn't going to read it again. It's fine, but it's not revolutionary. It's not super drawing. I didn't think the writing was like completely out there. Like, it's okay. It's just okay. I didn't have any more opinion than that. Okay, Maggie, A Girl of the Streets. I had to read this for literature class. I did not like this. I don't think anybody who isn't forced to read it would read it, but it wasn't my thing. So, okay, Eat, Pray, Love. I really liked this one. This is such a meme book, but like I really liked it. I thought she was hilarious. I'm gonna read this again this year. This was so good. Amazing for after a breakup. I read this after my breakup. So amazing. If you're going through a breakup, it is so good. It is about this woman who divorces her husband because she realizes she's not happy, and then she dates this other guy, and then they break up. But that's not all the book is about. So it's not about the boyfriend and the husband. It's about her recovering and finding herself. It's called Eat, Pray, Love because she goes to, I think, Italy, India, and Indonesia. And so in Italy, she eats food, eats all the things. Pray is, I think, India because she stays in a Montessori, I don't know. She stays in a temple and learns to pray and find God, which I'm not religious at all, really. I'm probably more agnostic. But this doesn't bother me. Like, some people who are atheists don't want to read about it, but you can still get things out of it, even if you don't believe in God or whatever. And it's not Christian. I don't know. I think it's Buddhism, but I'm not sure. And then Love, she goes to Indonesia and she finds a new guy who's like awesome. But overall, totally recommend this one. It was so good. She's so funny. She is so funny. I think she is almost as funny as Andy Weir in The Martian. Like, amazing. Great. Okay. Brutal Prince, Stolen Heir, and Savage Lover, which I know don't judge my reading. Okay, so I own 2 of the physical copies. The only reason I read this is because it was recommended off of TikTok because it's illustrated. This version is. I'll see if I can pull up a picture. What I don't love is that, for one, the pictures aren't really that good, but they're also kind of dark. So, like, there's one of the pictures, but I think both of these copies are illustrated. So I like these enough. I read them So Savage Lover, I read in a single day. It's like 200 or 300 pages. A single day. I woke up and then I went to sleep, and in between that, I read the entire book. I don't even think I've ever done that before. But they're just mafia romances, whatever you think. They're not that greatly written, but I really like them, except Stolen Heir. I did not like Stolen Heir. This is creepy. The other 2 I really liked. This one's, I think, my favorite. I love the characters. I love the girl. She's so strong. She's such a strong woman. She fights back. She's like gonna kill him. But yeah, it's not the best book. If you want, there's probably better mafia romances out there. So, but it's a good like beach read or like fast read. So that one. This one I didn't like. I don't know why I still have this. I was kind of thinking I would physically buy all 3 books, but the 3rd one I got on Kindle. Not that I have a Kindle. This is creepy. I do not like this. I cannot get behind any abduction romances. That is weird. Other than maybe Beauty and the Beast. But like, he kidnaps her and then they fall in love. That's weird. I don't like that. I did not like that book. And then Savage Lover I also really liked. And there are 3 more books in that series. I absolutely are going to read those last 3. Okay, so Family of Liars. So these are all the books that I have physically. The rest I borrowed or whatever. So the Family of Liars, I like that. I really like that one. Because it's prequel to We Were Liars. I really liked We Were Liars. I would recommend reading that. If you liked We Were Liars, you would definitely like Family of Liars. So I did like it. Okay, Second Nature of Indigo. This was written by one of my friends, so definitely go read it. Honestly, when I started reading it, because I knew one of my friends had written it, I was like, I don't know how good this is gonna be. No offense if you're watching this. But it blew me away. Honestly, I read this on a beach trip, and it's kind of a slow start, but once you get into it, it's really good. I recommend if you pick this up to just finish it, because it is hard to get into at the beginning, but it is written very well. It is about this teen girl, I think she's 14 or 15, in the 1900s, and she's a detective. Think Sherlock-esque. So if you like the Sherlock novels, or you like 1900s literature or 19th century literature, then I would recommend it. It surprised me by how much I like this. I don't know if it's top 10 books, but I think it might be in my top 20. Okay, Promises and Pomegranates. I did not like this one. The cover art is beautiful. I ended up giving it away because I didn't like it. It is another mafia romance. I don't remember why, but I didn't like the ending. I don't remember like what about the ending bothered me, but like there was something specifically that like gave me the ick. Okay, so The Great Gatsby. I had to read this for English literature. I didn't love this. I might have read it on my own, but I don't like it. I didn't like. It's okay. It's just not anything like amazing. To Kill a Mockingbird was amazing. There's a reason everyone has to read this. If you haven't read this, read this. If you're gonna read it for school, actually read it. Don't Spark Notes it. It is so good. There is a reason it's been passed down forever. It is amazing. It is an amazing book, and Atticus is such a DILF. Like, read it. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, here's another series I read. Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and Winter. It's the Lunar Chronicles, 4 books. They range from like, I think 300 to 600 pages each. I'm not sure. I read all of them in 2 weeks. I started on one Sunday, and then 2 Sundays later I finished, which is really fast for me. But I was trying to meet my goal at the end of the year, because I think that was in November when I was reading it. I would recommend the books. I only owned Cinder, like the first one, but I didn't keep them because I don't think I'll reread them. I liked them to read them, but I wouldn't reread them. They're each kind of a retelling. So Cinder, obviously Cinderella. Scarlet is Little Red Riding Hood. Cress is Tangled, Rapunzel. And then Winter is Snow White. I like the couples, I like the romances, I like the action. It's all very well written, and I like how things are consistent, and like you can tell the writer planned it out very well. So I would recommend reading them. They're just not something that I would probably reread. But definitely good YA novels, which was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I didn't like it. I don't think I'd tell anybody else to read it, and I definitely won't read it again. I read it in preparation for British literature next semester. Yeah, I didn't like it. I don't know why it's so popular. It was not my thing. I don't recommend it. Okay, then there's 2 with asterisks. So for one, Mary Oliver poems. I started reading Devotions, which is an anthology of Mary Oliver poems, and I did really love it. I really love Mary Oliver. I love her so much. Her stuff is just amazing. Definitely check out any of Mary Oliver. I borrowed that from the library. I'm going to go and I'm going to buy myself that book so I can annotate it. I loved it a lot. I just didn't finish it. I started reading it, and I didn't finish it because I was like, oh, well, I'll just buy my own copy. But it is an amazing beach read. I read it when I was on a beach vacation because it's so much about being with nature and loving life, and I love her so much. I cannot recommend Mary Oliver enough. Like, she is, I think, the best, if not one of the best poets of the 21st century. Okay, last one, Lolita. So I read half of it and then I lost the book. I'm very annoyed that I've lost the book. I liked it while I was reading it. I hope to find it. I might have just lost it forever. But I stopped reading it for a while and then I lost it. I was reading the comments on Goodreads and someone said it's the best prose ever. And let me tell you, it is the best prose ever. It is so beautifully written and I feel like the author used his like skills for evil because it is such a good book and it is written so beautifully, but it's so creepy because Lolita is about, I don't know, like a 30 or 40-year-old guy literally grooming a 12-year-old girl, and he talks about how there are nymphets, which are not all little girls, but some little girls that are special and they're like transcendent beyond this universe, and he wants to like do naughty things and it's so bad. So I would definitely recommend reading it. It is really good. I mean, the part that I got to, the prose is beautiful, but you know, you have to know what you're reading. Like, it's creepy. Anyways, so these were all the books I read in 2023. It was a big book list, but I hope to read as many this year. Yeah, bye.